Hello, welcome back to another episode of Guns and Yellow Ribbons. I'm Fergus. I'm full of cold and slightly hungover from a great day out in London yesterday. Arsenal and City shared the points at the Emirates Stadium in a tense, hard-fought draw. Now it's a quick turnaround and it's the League Cup and Port Vale up next. Let's dive into it. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. This is your Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Enjoy the show.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the show. We hopefully will have Hilsey on. Let me take that off. Have Hilsey on in a second. Because he's not here, I've seriously cocked it up as usual, as I would do. Let's add him to the room. Trevor's in Scotland, struggling with the internet. Andrew, thank you for joining us and filling in for Trevor. We'll get Trevor on for as long as we can. Trev, how are you doing? What is it, minus 15 up there now? No, he's frozen.
Okay, laddies. Okay, my laddies. I've just had me and tits. No,
he's just let himself some
the
what?
internet's not bad here, so I could be on. You what?
Well, you just had yourself some what?
I'm haggis and tatties. Tatties. Haggis and tatties.
Definitely that didn't sound like tatties.
Someone of Scottish descent. Someone of Scottish descent is going to give me a right telling off now. Look, yeah, the internet's really poor here. We're right in the middle of nowhere on the west coast of Scotland. So, and the dog might jump on me in a minute. But other than that, I'll come along for the ride as long as I can, boys.
All right, okay. Andrew, as I said, welcome onto the show. It's mainly going to be me and you by the looks of it. But before we do that, I'll probably, to make sure we cover everything off with you, Trev, you've done your videos before and after the game. And neither one of you were able to get to the game for various reasons. It was your wife's birthday this weekend, or birthday celebration this weekend, Andrew, and you were away in Scotland with the beautiful, ever-suffering Donna, Trevor. So you couldn't get to the game, but you watched on TV. Trevor, what was your summation of the game? Because you were really positive, like I was before the game. Then afterwards, you were still positive, but a little bit perplexed as well.
Listen, firstly, Donna isn't ever suffering. She's forever lucky, right? Get it? Okay, before we move on. Look, right. You know me, I choose my words carefully because I'm not going to become one of these people that looks like he's attacking our players or attacking our manager. But if I'm honest with you, boys, I was disappointed when I saw the selection. I was disappointed. But then that could have been for many reasons that we don't know about. So you go with the flow. You think, our manager's chosen that side. But I just, much like the Liverpool game, I get the feeling, this is how it leaves me feeling, I don't know about you boys, that we could have really played a bit better. We could have gone more attacking because I think we're a better football side than Manchester City, right? And I don't think we're set up to play better football than Manchester City. At the end of the day, it's a draw, but I honestly think that I get a feeling inside me that we had it in us to win the game if we'd have let loose.
Yeah, prior to the game, Andrew, I was going to say super confident, but I didn't want to get too cocky, but I was very confident and I feared no team in the league. I thought we went to Liverpool and done ourselves well. For an away game, I thought we'd done very, very well, and it was going to be an error or a wonder goal, which had the game decided one way or the other, and it was in Liverpool's favour. But I don't think Liverpool were any better than Arsenal in that way, and considering the home team. In this instance, I was really confident. I was very confident with a 2-0 victory. Joseph, my grandson, was more like a 3-2. There was a lot of 3-1s. We knew it wasn't going to be an easy game, but I was still confident we could do City. Arteta, was he overcautious, or was he just surprised that City parked the bus? Was he like outfoxed by Pep, by the lineup and the tactics, and hence why he chose the lineup, which we'll go through in a second, that he did for us?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I was surprised just, when the lineup got announced as everybody really, sort of Trossard out there on the left as well. And then there was sort of, I thought Eze would have been the perfect opportunity to play him into that number 10. But I think you can definitely tell. I mean, I still haven't found, but I'm told that apparently we changed our formation 5 minutes into the game. Because I think when City lined up and we started, I think he was surprised at how negative and how defensive they were actually being. I think, obviously in hindsight, you'd love to have had that and you'd have gone at them a little bit more. But we have to ask the question: do we, is it 1 point gained or 2 points dropped?
I don't know. I think by the end of this conversation, I will ask you that, but I'm not going to ask anybody to make a decision right now. Trevor, do you think Arteta was like caught unaware? And I think personally, what I think is, and I saw your tweet earlier, which was like trying to be positive, like we tried to be. Personally, I think Arteta went out there knowing what City can do and what they're capable of, and knowing how he's played them in the past, and he chose a lineup like he did. I didn't totally agree with the lineup, which was Raya, Timbers, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Zubamendi, Rice, Merino, Madueke, Trossard, and Gyökeres. I didn't agree with having Merino on. And I definitely, that's more of a debate, but I didn't agree with having Trossard on. Do you think he went out there to be a little bit more pragmatic, thinking that City were really going to attack at us? And then they didn't.
Yeah. You know what, Ferg? You've read through the team now. Firstly, let me say the back four picks itself for us now, for me, for a while. Looking at further up the field, you see, I've watched Merino. I was getting great reports about Merino playing for Spain, so I've watched Merino playing for Spain. And he's a fine attacking midfielder that scores lots of goals, So when I looked at the side, I thought, yeah, okay. I really wanted him to squeeze Eze in there because I honestly think Eze is the player, right, that moves us up a notch, that gives us a much better chance of beating the low block, right? I think Eze is the man that cracks the low block, and we've brought him in, and I was shocked that he didn't start. I wasn't surprised. I was surprised at how defensive Man City went. I didn't think they'd go all out at us because they know that we would beat them. So when I see them being ultra defensive, I thought, yeah, okay, we should still have the tools to beat this. And fair enough, at half-time, Arteta must have thought the same because he brought Eze and Martinelli on. It turns out that Madueke had a bit of a knock, so all those people that were wishing harm on Arteta for getting him off at half time, he went off because he felt a knock, Madueke. But yeah, Eze, we've brought him to be a talisman, to be someone that moves the ball about the park, someone that puts Gyökeres through with these impressive balls. And when he wasn't starting at home, I thought, hang on. I wondered if he was injured, to be honest, Ferg, Eze. That's what I thought at the time.
Yeah, I didn't know whether he was injured or not, but it was the perfect opportunity. Andrew, you said in your comments to me, it was the perfect opportunity to give him that role as but like personally, I want my ideal that front line would have been Eze on the left, Nwaneri in the middle, and then Madueke, Saka, whoever on the right hand side. But assuming that Saka wouldn't have been fit, but Eze could have easily slotted in that role as a number 10. And it would have been a perfect opportunity. If you did put him in there as a number 10, would you have chosen to have Trossard out on the left? Andrew?
Ooh, you're nodding, Trevor, and I'm not sure. I think Trossard's become that great sort of that fantastic sort of player to bring on with 25 minutes to go. Unfortunately, I think that's where he is with us at the moment. I was surprised to see him starting, but you're right though. Who would you put on the left if you're going to put Eze down the middle? No.
Andrew, I was nodding in agreement. Maybe I misheard Fergus, mate. I was nodding in agreement. For me, you've got in home games particularly, you've got to get Eze in that side. And if we had to, I'd have said to Trossard on the bench, you go and put Eze on the left if I had to.
Trevor, it's really interesting though when you look at the stats. I don't have physical stats, but from my memory, which can be clouded with Guinness and baby Guinnesses and various other alcoholic drinks. But when we look at over the podcast that we've looked at, Trossard, when he started games, has generally faded and not scored. But when Martinelli has started those games, I'm looking back at last season as the previous seasons, Martinelli's ran the defence ragged, may not have got a goal, but then Trossard has come on and scored 1 or 2 and sometimes 3 goals. Yeah. So if you were going to put one of the two on, I would have started Martinelli rather than Trossard.
Do you know what, though? You should look at Shane's comment on there, at the bottom there. So, all the talk in the pub before the game was who start on the left, Martinelli or Eze. Nobody had a notion of Trossard starting. I think that's perfect. None of us ever were mentioning Trossard starting on that left-hand side, even before the games and all the chats we had.
No, I didn't see it coming, boys. I didn't see it coming, Trossard. Don't get me wrong, right? I'm a supporter of Trossard. I was over the moon when he stayed for this season. But he's not a starter in this team at the moment for me, right? And playing Marino and Trossard, just at the time, sorry, Mikel, but I did question what you were doing, Mikel. I'm your biggest supporter, Mr. Arteta, but I did question what was going on because, as I said already twice, and I'll only say it once more, I promise, if we're going to beat these big teams, especially at home when they're going to sit deep like we found out City did, we need someone that's going to break down the deep defence. And the best player we've got at doing that at the moment is Eze. Yeah.
So City were unchanged for 3 games in a row. Pep has complained about him having to play on Thursday nights and again and having 2 less days rest and everything else. But he did have the choice to rotate some players, and he didn't. But they sat really deep, and for the first 10 minutes of the game or 9 minutes of the game, I think it was 80 or 85% possession for the Arsenal. And 9 minutes in, Rinders assisted Haaland with a sucker punch, totally against the run of play. Trevor, how did you see it? Because I was standing there and I saw this bouncing around because where we are, and it was slightly down the other side of the midfield of the clock end. I could see the ball bouncing around and nobody had any real control of it. All of a sudden, the ball come out, and I could see City start running us, and then Haaland just came out of nowhere like a steam train, and the ball got to him, and I thought, Saliba, where are you? He was way too far up the pitch. Gabriel was nowhere around. Zubamendi did track back, and Saliba did track back, but it was too little too late.
Yeah. Look, you called it perfectly, Ferg. It was a sucker punch because we were the only team on the park, weren't we, before that? Mm-hmm. And they've broke quickly, and Haaland's, as much as I really dislike Haaland, I dislike him immensely.
I know you do.
I can't get over last season with his big humble stuff. I'll never forget that. I've got a long memory, me. But you have to accept the fact that he finished that goal really well, and he broke, and it was the only big break they had all game, really, and it was a sucker punch. But what I will say is, right, I still think that we had enough on the park to win the game from there, even, especially after half time when we've brought Eze on and started buzzing, dropping deeper. Why we couldn't get a goal back in the game sooner, I do not know. I don't know what's stopping us, but I know we're good enough. That's what's really frustrating me.
No, we were. Look, that 30 minutes in, I watched the game, but I watched Match of the Day back, and at 30 minutes in, they showed an image of an attack that we were trying to make, and the only person forward at 30 minutes in was Haaland. They were playing like one up top, everyone else behind the ball. But our efforts nearly paid off just before half time when Madueke, who in that first half, before he picked up his injury, I thought was really good. And we'll have the debate in a few minutes about Madueke, Saka, who would you and who you wouldn't have. But now we know that the injury has happened. We have to understand why the substitution was made at half time, but just a style of play and what we like. But Madueke was unlucky, and Donnarumma made a fantastic save just to stop it at that near post, didn't he, Andrew?
Yeah, he did. I thought he did the post actually at first, and then it wasn't until we saw the replay that I saw that he'd got down to it. I mean, he's a great keeper, isn't he? You can't take it away from him. It's a heck of a save, but to get into that position and actually have the shot again he showed fantastic feet, fantastic strength. And it was, as any other keeper, it's probably in, and it's 1-1 before we go in at half time, which is perfect. But it was when he came, there was no sort of talk about him coming off at half time. So when he didn't come out for the second half, it was proper sort of like, hello, what's going on here? That's a bit strange.
For me, Trev, when I saw the two substitutions at halftime, it wasn't about Saka over Madueke and Marino over and Eze for Marino. I just thought it was what I said earlier, that he doesn't often. I think once in the 5 or 6 years that he's been our 5 years or so he's been our manager, he's made substitutions at halftime, and he clearly had felt that the setup he'd done in the first half was totally wrong for the game that Pep had caught him out, and he made those changes. Subsequently known about the injury, but if you were the choice, which player, they're both excellent players, but who do you go at the moment with? Would Madueke or Saka? And I could see different styles.
Right, you can't fault either of them, to be honest. Madueke has come in and amazingly proved a lot of horrible people mistaken, right? Mm-hmm. And that's been wonderful. But if I had to choose one of them for the game next week, it would be Saka. It would be Bukayo Saka. He's been off form a little bit recently, but he's still capable of cutting in and scoring the goals. And all the time, it's really interesting, boys, because I came on here with my head full of some stuff that I'm worried about, right? And within Arsenal's game, and you've been talking about it all, but it's not clear in my head. And I'm just drifting, Ferg. I'm sorry for that. While I've got it in my head, I've got no notes, no nothing here.
What's new?
We don't look, Saka, Madueke, Trossard, Martinelli, whoever. We don't seem to be opening up our play and going for a win. You know what I mean? We seem to be old, conservative in what we're doing. I'm trying to be so careful here, because everybody watching this show and everybody that knows me knows that I'm not a negative supporter. So this isn't negativity for me. This is just what I'm seeing, right? I'll never swear or curse or call the players out or wish them harm. I support my team unreservedly all over the country and Europe every week. But I do think, boys, that this seems to be, is it a mental block or is it a tactical block? We just don't seem to be going all out to win a game. We don't seem to be opening all up.
I personally think it's the conservative approach that you have of a defensive midfielder who's now a manager in Arteta. Like I can understand why he likes the pairing of Zubamendi and Marino. We've seen him, as you said before, you've been watching the Spanish games. But with Marino, Zubamendi and Rice, it just doesn't work to allow that flow of creativity from the midfield and give Gyökeres or Martinelli or anybody who's in that striker sort of role the opportunity to create those opportunities for them. If you look at the stats, that Marino and Rice have started 10 games together, and it will surprise you, Trevor, to hear that they've only won one game when they're in the starting lineup. And I think it's probably because of Marino's remit in the game. It doesn't allow Rice to float. And Rice, for me, I don't think he's looked great in a lot of games this season. Is he struggling? Is it that pairing that's making him struggle?
Yeah, it could be. Who knows? Who knows, mate? You may well be bang on. Who knows, mate? A friend of ours who's been around the Arsenal for many years, Debs, used to work at the Arsenal, said on social media today, right, we can all comment, we can all think, we can all have our ideas in a nice way. I don't accept, as I said already tonight, the wishing harm on people and these strange people that pretend to support the Arsenal but don't really. We can all have our ideas and our thoughts, but none of us really know what's going on at the football club on the day, right? Now, I've took that on board and I've thought about that a lot, and Debs is exactly right? We don't know. So we're only giving opinions and thoughts, right? We're only giving opinions and thoughts. But more importantly, we're going on what we see, right? We have no inside information, but we see a lot. We see 90 minutes every week, 100 minutes every week, and we see it. So we have an idea of what's happening on the field, although we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And for me, I'm going to reiterate, Ferg, because it's important. It's not often I say things about the Arsenal like this. We don't seem to be able to open up and spread the play and move the ball forward quickly. It just doesn't seem to be happening, and it's not happened all season. All right, yeah, Leeds and Forest maybe a bit. Although Leeds was the first 20 minutes, we were very deep and careful. But we could. I'm certain that we are good enough to beat Liverpool and beat Man City. Now, this is the question I'll throw back at you boys, right? Are we too scared of giving a goal away rather than score a goal at the opposite end?
Andrew, I'll put that to you, and I'll ask you to refer back to like the lineup as well with Rice, Zubimendi, and Marino in that context as well, because I think no, it's fine. It's Trevor. It's a perfectly valid question, but I want to get both on there as well, because I do think that has an influence. I think Arteta. I'll say nothing. Go on.
Yes, I think yesterday you've got to put like City didn't want to lose that game at all yesterday. If they lost that, they were 9 points behind Liverpool. And I think, potentially we had a very similar sort of approach to it as well. We didn't want to lose it either. So we put, Arteta's gone and be a bit pragmatic in it to start with, which has been negative. If we'd have won 2-0 yesterday, we wouldn't have been having this conversation. We'd have been absolutely high as a kite, and we know we'd done it. But because of what's happened and the way that it's happened, we're questioning that, the certain parts of the team. Madueke, we're questioning should have Eze started. But I come back to what Dan came on there before. Yeah, we're fully behind him, and I do think the lineup was wrong, unfortunately, yesterday. I think it was strange, but it's that midfield three for me. That Zubimendi and Rice works, Marino doesn't. I don't think it works for Spain. It's great, but it's a completely different ball game. You can't. That game yesterday just screamed for Eze or someone creative to be in that number 10 role, as Trev rightly says. Gyökeres didn't have a shot on target yesterday. So he didn't get the ball. You look at, I know it was Forest, I know it was Leeds, but you look at it down the line. The ball, the second goal against Forest, ball was over the top, straight to Eze. Eze ran in, used on the penalty spot. Gyökeres is in there. We had none of that yesterday, and all part of that you've got to did actually City pay us a lot of credit yesterday by coming to the Emirates and parking the bus and letting us actually they said, come on, then come and get us. Unfortunately, their game plan was working because they nicked the first goal. And they knew they could sit there and go, same as what they did. They did it, didn't they, when we nicked the 2-2? They defended for their lives at the end of it. And in the end, we got it.
I thought you didn't have any access to my notes on here, by the way, Andrew.
I haven't. I just absolutely called your whole lot. Insinuate. But you look at the notes we wrote earlier on, in all seriousness, you said to me, give me your notes. And we were pretty much neutral, weren't we? We were pretty much bang on together.
More or less the same. Look, in the second half, we did change things up, and we were much more aggressive. And I think that was, if Arteta thought that that's what City were going to turn up like and park the bus, I think we would have come out with the lineup that we had, or a similar lineup to what we had in the second half, a lineup 100%. That could go and attack. I think the reason why, as Dan said, and we've all said he got the lineup wrong, was because I think he was expecting a different approach by Pep.
But they said that on the commentary as well. They said on the commentary, they said when they kicked off and when we attacked the first. They said, and I can't remember I think it was Neville went, my God, City are playing 6 at the back. And it was just like, he counted it. It was like, bloody hell, they've actually dropped 2 into the back line. So it was kind of like...
They had 7 in the back at one point on Match of the Day's count. Zubimendi shot over the bar. Eze had a shot at 50 minutes. So we were attacking. But Trevor, we nearly did come unstuck again to another Haaland break. He breaks through. He shoots at Raya. Raya saves it. It bounces to Eze. Eze clears it, and that bounces off Rice. Thankfully, over the bar. That would have been devastating, Trevor, if that came off.
It would. I'd have understood the goal because we were pressing to get an equaliser ourselves. But 2-0 would have flattered, more than flattered City. You see, there's a few things going in my head here, and I've got no notes. I'm not writing anything.
You don't usually read them anyway. It don't matter.
Neville yesterday was atrocious. Neville was just shut up, Andrew. Neville
I
was,
turned Neville off.
Neville was a trophy. Yeah, I had some music. I tried to get through the game with him, but I couldn't. And then when that squeaky Carragher came on, I thought, oh my God, no, I just got rid of an headache. But Neville actually said the game yesterday, Arteta went to the fourth official and about something that the Man City, it might have been when that player disgracefully went down when Trossard lobbed him the ball. And
Bernardo Silva.
Neville, instead of saying, oh, get up the Man City player, whoever, I can't remember who it was now, get up the Man City player, you play acting waste of space. Neville actually had a go at Arteta for protesting about it. And saying, the dark arts, you practice them. And I thought, oh, this is no good. But we've also got to remember, right, that Man City haven't been called out yesterday from what I've seen by the press or anyone for the way they set up. Yeah, we played the second half with 10 men there last year and nearly pulled off a classic win. Yeah, and got pulled out as boring and useless. Oh, I'll tell you what, I know how lucky I am to be able to go to football, right? Rarely I have to watch it on the TV. And I have I know how lucky I am, but I have every sympathy for the poor people that pay good money to Sky and have to listen to Neville or Carragher every week. Because Neville just a monotonous, monotone, boring voice, right? My name's Gary Neville. I'm monotone, monotonous, and boring.
No, that's Michael Owen. That's Michael Owen. He's squeakier.
And then,
he doesn't know what he's talking about.
So your ears are getting used to that, and then they flick over to Carragher, and he nearly bursts your eardrums with his squeaky 4-year-old girl scream. Oh my Lord! Everyone that listens to them on Sky, you have my utmost sympathy. You really do.
It's really interesting because when I actually switched over and to other channels that are available, it was the commentary was completely different. They were actually saying, and it was the only time I actually heard someone being negative towards City by saying, how can they need to win this to catch Liverpool? How can they come to the Emirates and defend a 1-0 lead? And
this is what we said. This is what we said, though. I think we look at it as a negative in the sense of the negative, the way the lineup was a bit pragmatic and everything else, probably with the view of what we thought we were going to face, and then we look at what this oil-rich, mega machine of a club that has been created over the last 10 years. Lined up against a team that was absolutely devastated 5 years ago and has been built with money, granted, but built from scratch by a novice manager on his first journey as a manager in this club, in any club. And we have got somebody like the world's best manager in the world deciding to play like Stoke City and put everybody behind the ball. That has got to show the world that we have turned up and we're frightening people out there. Absolutely frightening people out there.
Yeah, but you look at the substitutions he made as well. When he took Haaland off, I think he brought Núñez on, took Foden off and brought Ake on. So he actually brought more and more defenders on to try and to try and stifle us and to do it. He had no intention of going out to score another goal in that game. And as much as we can sit here and be not negative, a little bit kind of like, we should have done this, we should have done that. Actually, we've actually got to take a bit of praise on this and actually the way that they came to the Emirates.
I think. Sorry, Trev. I think you can be in hindsight, but on the day and on the game, I was with Dan, and Dan wasn't happy at the end of the game. I wasn't. I don't get as unhappy as Dan can get sometimes over it. But Trevor, reply to that, and then I just want to touch on Gyökeres a little bit.
No, boys, listen. I'm going to have to leave you boys in a minute because things are going off here. The dog's playing up, blah blah blah. But listen, right?
Nancy,
my party shot is that I look at it in a way as a massive compliment to the Arsenal Football Club that Pep Guardiola felt the need to come and play that way at our ground yesterday. it's a massive compliment to Arsenal Football Club and the work Arteta has done, right? He obviously came playing for a draw. They've got a lucky breakaway with Haaland, who's finished it wonderfully. And then they've completely shut up shop, right? And it's down to us to break it down. And we didn't have the tools to do it on the day, right? So, yeah. And I must just say, finally, right, I still think Arteta is a great young manager. He put that team out there that he thought would be the best to play against City on the day and get a result for our football club, right? It turned out wrong. We've said we thought he was wrong, but that doesn't mean he hasn't still got my full faith. I'm hoping he's learning on the job. He should have learned it all by now, these many years in. But come on, let's face it. When have Man City ever come to our place or gone anywhere, and played defensive like that? I can't remember Man City ever playing like that.
Not since they've been at the Etihad, etc., and so on. Trevor, before you go, because I understand that it's difficult with the dog and everything else in the camper van, points dropped are gained.
For me, points dropped. Because I know, this is in my head, that we are a better team than Man City, right? Mm-hmm. Overall. And if you don't beat teams that are not as good as you, then you drop points. It's any game. If we don't beat Tottenham, we'll have dropped points. If we don't beat Chelsea, we'll have dropped points. Because I honestly think we're the best. I do. A big statement, but I think we're the best team in the league when we want to play, when we're on our day. I honestly do.
I agree.
If we play at our best, I think we are. But I don't think we're always playing at our best, Trevor. I really don't. Listen, before we go.
Absolutely. You've nailed it there. Exactly right. But I'll leave that. I've got to go. But listen.
2 seconds. Before you go, it's been good to talk to you. And it's been good to chat to you. I chatted to you earlier and you were giving me some words of advice as well. And that's always following on from our thing that we're going to do in every show and talk about Andy's Man Club. And it's good to talk. Trevor, say hello to Donna. Tell Nancy, Fergus, and you'll go mad.
See you later, boy. Thank you, everyone.
See you later.
Hey, Trev.
I'll be back next week with a vengeance. All right.
See you later. Bye. Right, okay, it's me and you. It's me and you. That was really good having Trevor on. Look, there's a couple of other things I want to do on that game before we go. Victor Gyökeres, no shots on target, 24 touches, 13 completed passes. You know what? I watched Gyökeres again live, but after a match of the day, and I thought Gyökeres, he works really, really hard. And I think somebody said on here, have I saved that one? I've saved some. Victor Heath said it. Victor ran some channels yesterday, but he was just never picked out. There was one particularly when I was talking to Mem, a friend of mine earlier today. There was one I remember. It was around the centre circle that a ball was led to him, and a City player got a toe poke to the end of it and just drifted the ball behind him.
Yeah,
but if he had got that with the space that he had behind, I think it would have been Haaland part 2, and we would have been level a lot earlier on.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think let's go back to to Kai last year. We were all kind of like, he wasn't scoring. He was in the place, but wasn't quite getting it. Then all of a sudden he got that goal and he just went off on one, didn't he? And he scored loads. You look at like Madueke and Saka coming in off that side. The ball's getting played into the area. It's just not quite getting to him. And I think it will. He scored 3 goals in 5. All right, let's take away the fact that no shots yesterday, and everyone's now sort of, he's not the striker that everyone thought we were getting, etc., etc. He's only played 5 games in the Premier League. It's going to take a little bit of time for him to, to bed into it all. It will happen because you can see it. I mean, and I think one of the benefits you get is actually when you're in the stadium, you actually see how hard he works. You don't get to see that on the TV because he tracks back so well. And, so how many times did we see him like win the ball at the halfway line, and then all of a sudden he's in a position, he's got a heck of an engine on him.
It's quite interesting.
It will happen.
Joseph was with me yesterday and the Forest game, and he's watched them for 3 games or so on and the European games on TV. And then when he saw him up against Forest, and even yesterday, And when he goes into some of the challenges, he turned around and said to me, "Oh wow, Gyökeres, he's going to be probably so strong." And that is the difference of watching live football rather than on TV football, because you're seeing what a TV producer wants to show you and what Gary Neville wants to talk to you about, or what anybody else wants to talk to you about along the way.
100%. Theo said the same to me. Theo said, "God, I'd hate to mark him because he's big, he's powerful, he's quick, and he makes runs." And there was no space yesterday. They've got 10 players behind the ball. There's no space for him. They know that he was the danger man, and they took him out of the game. He'll be absolutely fine.
So Demsek said he's quite surprised. He's agreed with Neville. Arteta needs to set up to win and not lose. Needs to set up to win and not to lose. Same at Liverpool. I think we've tried to cover that one. I know Demsek put it up earlier, but I saved it for it. Set pieces. We would. Donnarumma, set pieces. I get Ronnie on here. I think he's bang on that. Just didn't work with him. He's so big. He's so strong. He's crap with his feet. He had to have a centre back come out and pass the ball from. Can you tell me pass the ball out? It was long away, like an old fashioned keeper. But great shot stopper. Really commanded his box very, very well. But yeah, set pieces were difficult against Donnarumma.
If you hang that ball under the bar like Declan Rice was doing, he did on 2 or 3 occasions yesterday, he's going to win that all day long. Was he 6.5 foot?
Yeah, something like that, mate.
When he jumps as well, you've got no chance. So, that unfortunately, I think we were on a high to nothing on that yesterday.
Yeah, apologies if not all your questions are coming up here. I'm doing everything one-man show here, so
I'm not allowed control of anything.
Well, you can't on your login anyway, so you're in as a guest.
Not trusted.
Let's have a look on here. So Arteta is quite ironic. These next 2 topics we're going to talk about. Well, actually, before we did we cover Rice struggling? Do we think it's the setup with Mourinho and him side by side, or do you think there might be something deeper? I don't know.
No, I think he's restricted slightly with that setup. I don't think he's given the freedom to go forward as much as he is when, if Eze was there, or if Odegaard's there as well. And I think yesterday you saw that in fades as well. I mean, there was one point, I think it was second half, he played the ball over to the left wing. I think it was to Trossard, and Trossard played the ball back to him, but Rice had already gone. So the ball actually went behind him. And he was just like, thinking, it's Rice that apologised to Trossard. So you just kind of think, who's actually got it right or wrong here? Are we trying to get forward? Is he trying to do it? But Rice is phenomenal, and he's for me, he's our best player at the moment. By far. So he picks himself every week, and you can't have a game without him in that midfield. He's there all the time.
Yeah. So City with 32% possession. Pep's lowest in his 600 league career. Is it the sign of far we've come, as we said before? Yet again, Arteta is compared to Southgate in his very pragmatic approach. I think Trevor touched on this, the way the media have been going, Arsenal should have done better and so on. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's just Troy Deeney on Talk Sport, sort of comparing Mikel Arteta to Gareth Southgate's England team. I mean, that's just ridiculous. That's just an Arsenal. That's just a clickbait. We hate Arsenal sort of, story to put out there. I mean, there's absolutely no way in a million years Arteta's anything like a negative Southgate. He made the changes. He actually did make the changes, which Southgate didn't. A few years ago in a particular final that we were in, to actually try and influence the game, and it did, because we did look a lot better in that second half because we had more attacking flair going forward. So that makes you think, doesn't it? If we'd have had that on from the start, well, would it have been a completely different story?
I suppose finishing up on this game, we should look at where's this comment on here? Christopher said Christopher was a very frustrating afternoon, felt like 2 points dropped. I get that, but by the end of the game, I was quite relieved that we didn't lose.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I think that we had. I think if we'd have lost that game again, we've been chasing Liverpool 6 points off. So it's we had plenty of opportunity, to unfortunately go and win it. We're only 5 points behind Liverpool, and I think they're going to drop points. They're not. I mean, they're the king of last minute winners. So I think they'll they'll definitely drop points off.
Well, I'm going to put a question up from Shane. Where's that question from Shane? Is that way back, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's not. It's not more a question. It's more of a statement, and I think it's absolutely bang on.
Well, let me find it, and then I'll leave you to discuss it on your own.
Oh, here we go.
Which one is it?
7. The plus side is we've played 5 games, including Manchester United, Liverpool.
Ah, right. Yeah. There we go.
Got it.
All right. You're going to be on a solo screen because I've got to go and answer the door.
Oh yeah, answer the door, of course. This is the perfect bit for me now. So the plus side is we've played 5 games, including Manchester United, Liverpool away, and City at home. We've scored 10 goals and we've conceded only 2. We are a tough team to play against, and I think that's absolutely spot on. The way that you can move that up to how City lined up yesterday and being so sort of negative towards us and parking the bus. We've teams are coming to the Emirates, and we know they're part of the bus from last year, but we never expected City to come to actually do it. But I think it's just a great statement because we always said, and it's Trev's big comment, isn't it? We have to beat the teams, or we have to take points off the teams in the Northwest. And you look what we've done so far. We've taken 3 at United. Okay, we dropped points at Liverpool, but we'll do them at the Emirates, and we've done a couple there. But we are chipping away at them, and they're nowhere near us. So we're absolutely fine. We are going to be absolutely fine moving forward. We've got nothing. Oh, there's a lot of negativity going around about Arteta should have done this or Arteta should have done that. Let's put it into context. We're in a great place.
Yeah, no, I agree. Thank you. There was nobody at the door.
You feel better now?
There's nobody at the door. I'm drinking. I've been drinking. I've had this cold. My mouth is really dry. I've been drinking loads of water, and I've got myself a scotch in it. Yeah. But next up, midweek, as I said in the intro, is Port Vale. We're entering the League Cup. It's a competition that we haven't won since 1993. We got as far as the semi-finals last season, and we lost 4-0 on aggregate to Newcastle. And again, another really frustrating game that we had against them at the Emirates, and then they done us and schooled us up at St James's Park. Port Vale had 1-0 victories over Blackpool and Championship upstarts in Birmingham. And they've had a few second and third round appearances in the last 3 years. And about 3 years ago, they got as far as the quarter final. They've had a poor start to the league. I don't think they've had a win in the first 7 matches. And Arsenal, the last time we beat them was in 1901, and we were called a Woolwich Arsenal then. So we have played them in the FA Cup. What are you expecting on this? I'm going to meet you up there. Theo's coming. Dan's going to be there. There's a few of us meeting up. What are you expecting? I'm expecting a different experience, definitely a League One ground.
Especially that. Good luck getting through the turnstiles because I've been through them and I only just struggled to get through them last time I was there. So yeah, it's certainly an interesting place. It's quite intimidating as well for an away fan, if I remember rightly, being there. So they're right on top of you. But it will be a different experience. It'll be a great night. I think we'll see a completely different team. I think unlucky for them, I think they'll see Saka on start because I think he needs the minutes and the time to come on. So that'll be an interesting one. We'll see a completely different team, but I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be a great night.
But how different of a team are you going to see when you look at your replacements? Okay, Madawaki is going to be definitely not playing, but Darwin or Saka could play on that side. Odegaard might start, or if not, you could put Eze in that area, or you could put Darwin in that area. You got Trossard, you got Martinelli, you got Eze that can go on the right side. And you go through the midfield. It's that we're not looking at kids. You're not looking at kids. We're not going to be going through the kids. You're going to have the Wanyeris on there. You're going to have Kepa in goal. Yeah, go on.
We've got the most expensive goalkeeper ever in the Premier League in goal, which is great. So you're going to have. I think you'll probably see White, Mascara. You'll see Lewis Skelly. This is a team that could start in the Premier League week in, week out that we're naming, and we're going to against. It's going to be interesting. I'd love to see Christian Norgard get a start. I rate him. I want to see him in full go.
I think we will. And Karen just asked, do you think he'll go strong? He will go strong, but even his second is so strong that there shouldn't be any reason why why we don't go strong. And if we can't progress, if we can't progress in the third round of the League Cup away to Port Vale, yes, the environment is going to be different and so on. But with the step up in quality of players, they should be doing it. I'm expecting something like Kepe, White, Mascara, maybe Hinkepi or Gabriel. I don't know. You said Lewis Skelly could go out on the left. Wanyeri, Norgard, I think, will start. And then Saka, Dowman, who knows?
I was going to say Dowman, the one player we've not mentioned. Dowman, that's what a prime game for him to come in and do something.
I think Gyökeres definitely starts because I think Gyökeres
needs a goal.
No, he needs to get up to match fitness. I think he's there, but he had no preseason. His preseason was all about negotiating, getting out of Sporting, and getting to the Arsenal. And yeah, he would have done some work, but he's not going to be in match readiness. And you can see that a little bit. Some people have commented about he's overweight and this, that, and the other. I don't think he is. He's just a bulky lad anyway. But I think he just needs to get into the fluidity of his game. And they will play him as long as he's fit. They'll play him for as long as he can. Even if it's like in the first half or 60 minutes against Port Vale. And he can maybe get a goal or two. I don't know. But I definitely think Gyökeres has to start. What about yourself?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he just needs that. I mean, with the goals he scored, 3 and 5, as we said. I just think he needs that little bit of, again, that match fit. That you can't beat match sharpness and match play, and it doesn't matter who you're up against. You've still got to put the ball in the back of the net. So if he can get a couple tomorrow on Wednesday night, then I mean that's it's a game of confidence. And if that really sets him up, then I'm with him going all the way because I think it'll be a really good game for him to get some more legs in his more minutes in his legs.
Dawood on here says, get Vic to the service and he'll deliver. He reminds me of Supermac. I didn't see Supermac play, but I know Trevor spoke about his bendy legs and everything else, but he was an amazing player. So, but I do agree with you, give him the service. But I think we need to learn how to play with him and maybe against the team. I don't know, we're probably going to face a low block again, or else they're going to be really going to be cocksure and go, we've got nothing to lose. Let's come at Arsenal. And you know what? I'd admire that.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we know Victor he doesn't want the ball high. He wants it into his feet. He wants it into his feet so he can knock it out wide, turn the defender and go. That's what he wants. And that's the bit that, for me, we just don't seem to be getting right at the moment. That, he's got people on him all the time, doesn't get that room.
There was a few crosses that went in and it came onto his head, and he's tried a couple of headers, and he's, it's not his forte, is it, heading? He's never been good at heading goals and so on. So I don't know. Look, go on.
We keep saying about Eze, don't we, going into this 10, right? So if you've got Eze in the 10 and he's got someone with that pace and those feet to be able to get the ball to him and then turn and then have that 1-2 movement to unlock the low block, that's the key to me. And it's got to be. I mean, the key is, who do you leave out to play in the 10? Do you dare? But do you dare drop Odegaard or put in to
well, if Odegaard wasn't on the bench at the weekend, so Odegaard, if his shoulder's still not right, there's no reason to risk Odegaard at this game.
No.
Especially when we look forward to next weekend. And as Dan said in the comments earlier on, Newcastle is huge now. We need to have a good performance up there, and we have to go and win there. And Newcastle aren't firing on all cylinders. They're struggling to score goals. The new strikers struggling to settle in, like Sesko is, and like Gyökeres, so is learning to adapt to the league. But also Newcastle, you know what they're like up there. Noises one club city, and they'll all be out and they'll be giving it lows and think they got the hoodoo over us. So I would not be playing Odegaard even if he's available in this game. No,
definitely not. I think Dan's right. Next Sunday is massive. I mean, that's to go up there and take 3 points out of St James's Park is huge. And you bang on. Newcastle aren't scoring goals, but they're also not conceding. They're setting up strongly. And again at home, they're not going to want to. We're going into town. They're going to want to beat us and get one over on us. The fact that they've drawn, I think, is it 3 0-0s they've had this year, or this season so far, or might actually work in our favour, because I think the fans will be asking them to go at us and run at us, which will then free up space for Saka or for Eze if he's in, or for Gyökeres up front as well. So I can't see them playing the low block against us on Sunday, which will help us.
Mm. We didn't really intend on getting into that, but into that game so much. But yeah, you are right. They've drawn 3 and one lost one, I think. So yeah, Port Vale though. So are we looking at predictions of what we're thinking about Port Vale? Convincing? Well, a win. It doesn't have to be convincing. It just has to show that we're in control.
Let's just go and get the job done professionally. I think that's what we
Yeah.
want. Let's just go and get it done and get away from it with no injuries, some good goals. Let's get Dowman on. Let's give some of the younger players a bit of a run out as well if we can, and let's really sort of use it as match fitness and sharpness that we need moving into the season. It's not going to be easy. I mean, I think they never are to go to these places. These League One grounds. They're tricky places, especially when you're used to playing in places like the Emirates and stuff. And if it starts chucking it down and in a horrible night in Port Vale, then it could be interesting.
So we started on the Newcastle game. Like this is a long week, and I know Dan he done all 59 games last season. And he does it week in, week out. But family life and work and stuff like that for all of us along the way. But and money as well, because it costs flipping fortunes.
Yeah.
I've got this week. I've done City at home. I'm doing Port Vale. Port Vale away, and then Newcastle away. As you can hear, my voice is already gone from drinking copious amounts of finest Guinness from the Woodbine. And it was great actually. My grandson came up with me on Sunday, actually, just on the side. And he's going to be 17 in January, so he's getting there. He's got all his bristly hair and stuff like that. He wasn't questioned when he stood up at the bar. They asked him if he wanted a Guinness, and he went, "No, just a Coke, thanks." So I thought he was quite. I said, "You just need to get your fake ID, son, and you're all right. You're in there." But he's always been a little bit shy and gone down to a seat earlier on. But I sent you the video. He's on TikTok. Block 5 and put it up on TikTok, and he's in the middle of the circle giving it loads. But it was really good, and it'd be good to get him away to one of these away games soon. But it's just hard work doing like 3 games in a week.
Well, I'm under orders that so any game that Theo goes to this year, he's not leaving school early after what happened with the PSG game last year. So
because he ended up on telly.
Yeah, for anyone knows, I told school that we were taking him out for an appointment, and then all of a sudden he ended up with his mug right across TV. So that was an interesting conversation. But yeah, I mean, it's Theo can't wait. He's looking forward to it. To go into, for him, it'd be he's been to a few games, but he's really looking forward to this because he's like, this is proper old school football. I'm going to an old ground.
This is why I'm excited about it. The League Cup was good for the away points and everything else if you're ever trying to point build. But there's also, as always, the social with the lads and everything else. I'm driving up with Dan, and we're crashing in deepest, darkest Stoke. I don't know how good bad that is. But he says he's getting the train home while watching the Ryder Cup unless we win 5-0. Dan, we're going to be drinking because we're going to win 5-0. I'm going to drive to Manchester from Stoke in the morning, so I don't have to leave too early. So it's all right. I can have a 9 o'clock, have a quick shower, and then jump on the M6. That's fine. Yeah. So we're out of the beers, mate. Yeah, we're on the beers.
I'm sure I can get Theo to crash down and get to school before 9 o'clock the next morning. We'll be all right.
Yeah, if needs be. There's a spare bed you can top and tail with Theo on.
No way.
Yeah. Well, I pity him.
Yeah, true.
Anything else you'd like to add leading up to like the upcoming 2 games? I know we'll cover Newcastle a little bit more. Well, I don't know if we will.
Do I dare bring?
Do you dare what?
Do I bring it up? Connor, so who do you put on the right side? So me and Sam were having this conversation in the chat earlier, right? And it's kind of like I know the injuries kind of tainted it a little bit, but if you had a fully fit Madueke and you've got Saka coming back from injury, who'd you start on the right hand side? I'm glad you said that.
Put your case forward first of all.
For me, and I think we were, you can't, if Madueke's in form and he's not injured and he's playing the way he is, I think you've got to keep him in the team. And I'm fully all behind these. Saka's our best player. When he's there, but you've got a player that's in form. Why would you drop him out of the team? I mean, it's just for me. We're coming down to we're talking about the squad and we're talking about competition for places and where people are. if he's at the top of his game and he's playing well and he's performing, and you drop him because your best player's just come back from injury, you've got to manage that really well. And I think this is one of the big, great headaches that Arteta's got this year. Is actually he's got to keep everybody happy.
Well, you put this question up on our WhatsApp group, and Sam was adamant that it should be Saka. You were adamant it should be Madueke. I said to you, this prior to knowing the injury, that I thought that there was a different change in the way the football that Saka played over Madueke. I'm not taking anything away from each player, but I found that when Madueke got the ball, once he reached the 18-yard line, he looked at the penalty spot and the goal, and he just ran straight at it. Where Saka went on to the 6-yard line, and then he tracked in along the touchline and trying to cross the ball and maybe score. So I found there was a different class, probably what I was used to seeing with Saka. Dan has gone Saka all day long.
It's interesting. You look at the comments because they're a bit split.
But you know what? No, the interesting one is a lot of saying move Saka to the left and Noni on the right. And if you think about what happened yesterday when Martinelli got his goal, just before he was Martinelli was playing on the left, Saka was playing on the right, and the set piece coach or one of the other coaches came out and said to Arteta, switch him. And they switched, and the goal came within minutes of that switch. And it also allowed Martinelli to come in more on that central sort of thing off the wing, Thierry Henry and what did he do? I know he was from the left, but what did he do when we were out in Bilbao? He came more central. I think he likes to drift that more central. Keeping Martinelli stuck to the wings and the touchline, in my opinion, I'm not an expert in any shape or form, as you know, I think is wrong. You need to let them drift in. And I think switching them around or just letting them fluid and just letting them overlap the whole way through could work. And that's the way you could accommodate both of them.
I think it's interesting to say about switching them around because, you look what City did to us on, yesterday. Actually, switching them around, that plays into our favour because nobody's going to have a clue what we're going to do. And that's the way for me it should be. No one should have any idea who we're going to put where. And what was good yesterday was at one point when they did move, and actually, we saw it, was Saka actually dropped into the 10 at times. And it was kind of like they were changing positions around all the time. For where they're coming, I think that kind of helped us pull City apart a little bit.
Yeah, you know what I think. I think that's where the team is at the minute. I think the team is like we've had 5 new players in the forward line in the last couple of games, and they're learning with each other. And we talk about Gyökeres, we talk about Madueke, we talk about the various players that have come into the squad, and I said even before the game that I feared nobody, that we haven't been playing well, but we got gradually better game by game by game. And we just need to click 100%. And I think that's basically what you were saying. Like Trevor says, Trevor Bibbins says, Saka give us more end results. But that's obvious because he's played for us longer. Madueke hasn't, and I'll wait and see. But I do think Saka's finishing is probably better than Madueke.
I think Saka cuts in more, doesn't he? And then hits it. He's got more of a habit of sitting outside the box or just on the edge of the 18-yard box because he did some crackers for his last year. The Everton at home one sort of springs to mind and things like that. And I think this is where we've got this great problem this year is that we've got 2 players that can play in that position, but actually offer us 2 completely different sets. Like you said earlier, Madueke will pick the ball up and he'll run directly into the 18-yard box and then try and get the ball to Gyökeres and on the penalty spot. Saka will dance around, pushes wide, and then whip the ball in. So if you can get them interchanging and moving round, how do you defend against that? You can't.
Dan comes along and says playing Saka on the left wing is like putting Henry on the right wing. We're not saying it's going to be. We're talking about a fluidity across, and I think ultimately, in my opinion, the way the players that have been bought, they can all play in multiple positions. They have a favourite side, but to change things up rather than leaving Saka on the left and everyone doubles up with him if he goes over to the right, or vice versa, whatever the case may be. That confuses the opposition manager, and I think in certain games, I think that's a really good idea. Finally, Heath reminded me, and I forgot to get a photo of it, but it was great to see Eze with his assist to that goal to Martinelli, the way he dropped back on the floor like he'd been shot, and the way that David Raya picked him up. He was, I think,
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, he just dropped back on the floor like that, and Raya comes running up the pitch to him. and just grabs him and goes like, oh, and then just picks up, come here, and gives him a big there. It's really good. And I think Eze was really, really made up, mate. Really made up. So
he wants to be there, doesn't he? He wants to perform. He's going to come good. Again, we've got to bear in mind, go back to Shane's comment earlier on. We're 5 games in. We've got new players in the squad that's playing with players that they've never played with before. And you get that old argument, the professional footballers should be able to play with anybody. It don't work like that. We've watched the game long enough to know that it takes time for squads to gel.
It does. And Shane just made the point I was talking about. Pick the names, pick the players, whatever you want, but he uses Eze, Saka and Ethan interchanging across the final third. Irish accent coming out there. It's only because it's you, Shane. I'll put the Irish accent on. Yeah, to be sure. Strike the fear into any defence. Mate, it's been absolutely brilliant. It was good to have Trevor on for a brief moment or a half hour of it. But it's been really good. I think we done okay, the two of us together, didn't we?
I think we've done that, mate. We've done that well.
Yeah. 532 of you watching in live chat across Guna Hillsy and my Twitter profiles, and also on Guns and Yellow Ribbons. If you could go over to YouTube and subscribe to us, just click subscribe and hit the bell. We would really appreciate it. We do earn a shekel or two, but I'm talking about, I think in this last year, I'm up to 18 quid from November last year. And YouTube don't pay out until I get to 60 quid. So the more of you that are sitting there could click over and subscribe and like and watch us on YouTube, the better. Then I can buy these guys a pint, because I promised them I'd buy them a pint if we got to the 60 quid. So, and
he keeps saying it and he still doesn't do it. So no,
it's not my fault. It's not my fault. Listen, thank you everyone for saying it's been a good show. Thank you all of you in the comments. There's so many people in the comments. Sorry, I haven't been able to keep over all of them. Normally I get Trevor to do the comments, and I do all the notes and bits and pieces. But I'm frantically trying to do everything on here.
I like his comment. Is Trev sleeping in the camper van? Is he in the bad books?
No, he apparently he's got the sign up. If the band's rocking, don't come a knocking.
Oh dear!
On that note, I'm going to press the button.
Yeah.
I do love it, Sam, at the end with that.
He did that the video you sent me.
Yeah, we done it in the pub yesterday. I was meant to upload that, and we will have it for the next time. I was meant to upload that and play it, but yeah, I didn't have any time.
That was the one video I looked at. You sent me that on Sunday, and I sat there watching. I was like, I want to be down there. That was what did it.
Right, Andrew, thank you very much. Trevor, if you're still watching, thanks very much. Have a great holiday while you're up in Scotland. I'll see you on Wednesday. I'll probably speak to you tomorrow. Yeah, yes. I'll probably speak to you tomorrow anyway, so you know what it's like. Up the Arsenal, and guess what? Fox Spurs.
Thanks for listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons, or Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too. Up the Arsenal.